Well, good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to be taking out my Yamaha FJR. Haven't rode it in a while. It's been sitting in here. I'm going to check the battery, see what kind of voltage I give it in it. 12.9. It's pretty good. Give her a cold start. Tell you what, that battery has been really good. I replaced it with, I think it's called a Scorpion battery. And I've been very, very pleased with it. Seems like it starts the bike good. It holds the charge extremely well. And it fit in there good, like it was supposed to. You can see my bike's charging at 14.2. It's cold. It's only 38 degrees this morning, believe it or not. Can't believe it's October and 38 degrees. Wow. That's okay. Shut this door. Kind of low on fuel. Got 1 bar, so let's stop and get some gas. Well, you can feel that chill in the air. Whew. One thing good about this bike is it's got that windshield I can raise up. That knocks off a ton of the cold. Fuel injection works really good on this bike. It runs nice and smooth, whether it's cold or warm, either one. Drop my visor down. You know, I've seen other people do riding videos with their visor up and they don't have a lot of wind noise. Don't understand that. How in the world can they do that? But I guess they figured it out. Itchy Boots. I don't know if you guys ever watch her. Really interesting channel. I think she's got a couple million followers, and she does long distance traveling, travels through Africa and different places. And since I started watching her, I think she's had 3. She's got her 3rd different bike now. She's going to be starting her new season riding a Yamaha FJR. I think it's a 1986. So I'm looking forward to that. I've seen the first, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. She hasn't really started yet. They're still working on the bike, trying to perfect it for her. We're trying to make it to where it's very reliable when she's out in the middle of nowhere, that it won't break down and she won't have problems with it. Alright, I gotta get some gas, so see how the windshield goes back down when I shut it off to get gas. I know people have told me before that I can unplug that, and I probably will at some point. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that bad. The worst part about wearing gloves is you have to take them off all the time. Took 3.6 Took 3.7 gallon, and it was down on the last bar. So I still had plenty of fuel left. Let's raise this windshield back up. The bad thing about riding when it's cold is it fogs your windshield up. I need to get some stuff to put on it so it won't fog. I don't ride in the cold that awful much, but I just have a hard time putting my bike away for the winter. I like riding too much. But if you guys are watching this that were interested in buying an FJR, I did a video on my thoughts on the ownership of the FJR, and if you're watching this because of that, the one thing that I didn't mention that I noticed whenever I was fueling up is, I don't know if you can see my gas gauge, but it's showing that it's all the way full. Probably down about 7 miles, 8 miles, maybe 10, it'll have one bar drop off. It doesn't stay full very long. I mean, the gauge is pretty accurate, and once it gets down low, it still has more fuel in it, you know, when it starts flashing than what you think. But I guess that's good, that way you won't run out. But I just wanted to make you aware of that it does drop one bar off like pretty quick. Well, it's a beautiful day though. It may be chilly, but it's beautiful. But I want to finish that story I was telling you about Itchy Boots. That Yamaha FJR that she's got, you ought to see. I mean, they've gone over that bike and rebuilt the engine and made it a little bit more durable for her. Of course, it's carbureted, you know. She's been riding fuel injected bikes, which, I mean, you have a beauty to both. Carburetors are good for some things, and fuel injections are good for some things. Fuel injections are bad for some things. Carburetors are bad for some things as well. So it's a give or take. But in the long run, you have less components that could fail. And if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're more than likely going to have less problems with a carburetor. I know you guys are going to hate me for saying that love fuel injection, but that's just the way I feel. You know, there's less things to go bad as long as you're riding the bike. Most carburetors only mess up whenever they're sitting. If you're riding it, they don't have too much problems. And you could have something in the gas that could get into parts of it, but you could have that same thing with fuel injection. So, but they're doing the shocks and stuff for her, and redid the seat, make it a little bit lower, I think, so it just kind of sits high for her. And she's a good rider. You know, she goes through a lot. You know, I kind of see myself as an adventurous kind of a guy. I have that at heart. Wild at Heart. There's a book called that. If you guys have never read that, if you like to read books, you've never read that, read that book. That's a really interesting book, Wild at Heart. I don't remember the author's name. I don't read a lot, but I did like that book. And that adventurous spirit is kind of in all of us. We just kind of had it tamed with, you know, work in a family life, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you know, our spirits have kind of been tamed a little bit. So anyway, she really gets out there, and she's by herself in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes she has accidents, sometimes there's breakdowns. I seen one episode when she had her Honda's 300 engine broke down, and they had to completely tear her engine apart at looked like kind of a makeshift garage, but they did a good job, and it ran good and didn't have any problems. I think that was in Africa that happened. She used to affectionately call it Alaska, her bike. It's interesting. If you guys haven't seen her channel, check it out. itchy boots. And I'm doing 65 at 3,500 RPM. And I would say this bike at that speed normally averages right around in the 50s. It's kind of hilly here, so it's going up and down. But you get really good fuel economy on this bike. I think on my Honda Goldwing, which I compare this to because it's what I had, you know, I can't compare it to a, I don't know, a BMW K1200 or anything like that. I've never owned one, but, or a Honda ST1300, never compared it, can't compare it to that because I never owned one of those yet either. That was on my list whenever I was looking for bikes. I kind of narrowed it down to the ST1300 and the FJR 1300 and the Kawasaki Concours 1400. And if there would have been a Kawasaki Concours 1400 close to me that was in my price range and was taken care of well, I probably would have bought that, because I'm kind of a Kawasaki guy at heart. But I haven't had a Yamaha in a long time, it seems like. And I'm pleasantly surprised by this machine. Like I've mentioned before in a couple of my videos, this bike is just so stable when you're riding on the road. It really just gives you that sense of you're safe on the bike. And it's a pretty good sized bike. It's, you know, pretty wide. It's got like car-like mirrors on it, and I put those little spot mirrors out there on the side to kind of help. I must have knocked it out of the way, out of the view. But if you put this to where, you know, you can point it, these are movable. You can move them out, move them in, up or down. And if you put that out like that, you could see a car come right next to you and not even have to turn your head. It's really, really nice. But those car-like mirrors, even if you didn't have the spot mirrors on the side, they work really well. I like them. As you can see, they're not fogging up. My windshield's fogging up a little bit, and my shield on my helmet definitely is fogging up. I was really surprised by that battery. I was looking at the USAL batteries, and one of them, the one that actually fits this bike, and this bike has kind of a really tight spot because it's right down here in the front, and you can't get too much bigger of a battery. It has to be the same size, and the battery that fits this, of the USAL battery, it's really, I mean, I bought one actually, and I had trouble with it right off the bat. I don't know, it was just draining kind of fast, so I thought, you know, I don't want to get out in the middle of somewhere and have it die on me. So I did a little bit of reading, and there was a guy on, I don't know if it was FJR Owners Forum, which I'm a member of, or if it was another, but he said that he bought a Scorpion battery. I think that's what they're called, Scorpion. And I'll look it up and leave a link in the description, like I said. But he really liked it. He said he was surprised because the price was so cheap. I think it's like half price of what that USAL battery is that fits this. And that Scorpion battery fits really well. Fits just like original. And when I first put it in and hooked everything up, and I turned my little battery charger gauge on, it showed 13.1 volts. And it came that way. I didn't even have to charge it up. I think it's a gel battery. And I hate to say the price because I don't remember exactly, but I'm thinking the price was something like $50 for that battery. It was surprisingly cheap, and it works well. I've had it in my bike now probably about, ooh, there's a big hole. Probably about 6 months, maybe. get out here and I'll show you how this thing goes. This is fourth gear. Woo, let me get around this tractor trailer. I'm out here on the interstate now, and the speed limit's 70 out here. Let me get around this guy because he's got so much wind off the back of him. This is really a comfortable ride. This thing will just eat the miles up. You know, I had mentioned also in my video about the heat on this bike, and boy, this time of year, it really does feel good on my legs right now. It's not a lot of heat either. It's just right now I just barely feel it. Of course, it's cool outside. My temperature on my bike is pretty low. Okay, you can see I've dropped off a bar already. I didn't keep track of how many miles that was, but it doesn't take very long. But I can go 200 plus miles on one tank of gas. I think the most I've ever put in it was 5 gallons, or close to 5 gallons. It does good. Hope you guys can see okay, because that windshield is kind of foggy. I can't tell what you guys can see because I can't see the screen on the camera. It's fogged up. You know, I've been out riding all my different bikes, and when I do short little runs, I like to use my smaller bikes because they're lighter and easier to maneuver, and easier to hop on and go. FJR is good at that too, but when I take a ride like this, a longer ride, and get up on the interstate, boy, there's not many better than this one. This thing just rides so good. It's smooth, very little vibration. I do, after a while, my hands start tingling. It's not real bad, but they do start tingling and get numb. I don't know, it could just be from my age, but there is just a small little bit of vibration from the bars. I have these grip puppies, I think they're called, and it does help. They're kind of foam and they're soft and comfortable. I think that helps with vibrations a little bit. You can cruise 80 mile an hour at about 4,200 RPM. And it just feels like it would just do this forever. I've added a few things on this bike since I bought it, and it's made for the comfort of it. I really enjoy it. This has a pullback, Healy bar pullback risers, I guess they're called. And I couldn't imagine riding without them. It was on here when I bought the bike, so I don't know what stock bars feel like, but this feels like it should to me. It feels like it should have come out with this, because it just feels like a perfect riding position. I don't really feel like I have a forward lean. I have just enough to where I feel comfortable, I think. I don't know, I may be straight up and down, but I think I could use a backrest pad on it. I think it would make it nice, make it more comfortable. But I don't have to have it. It feels fine the way it is, but when you go on long rides, your back gets kind of tired, and that's normal. guys are new to my channel, I just recently got a Life in KPX 250. It's a dual sport, and I don't ride a lot of off-road, but I will take it into the trails a little bit. I just don't have a lot of trails to go to, so I've been riding it a lot on the street, and it's kind of nice riding it on the street. It reminds me of this bike. I hate to say that, but you know, this bike, I've mentioned that in my video as well. This bike really sits up kind of high and you ride on top of it like you do a dual sport or a dirt bike. And it sits high, that dual sport does. And when you're riding, you can see over the top of cars pretty easy, which makes it nice, you know, when you're riding and keep an eye on things. I don't know if you guys have noticed it lately, but man, I have seen more people run red lights than I have in all 50 some odd years of riding that I have. This is the worst I've ever seen it, and I don't think it's cell phones. I think they're running red lights just because they don't care that it's a red light. They don't want to be stopped. They think it's okay, and they just keep going. When I approach an intersection now, man, I tell you what, I always did look at cars coming up to the stop on both sides, but now I'm really cautious. A lot of times I'll slow down just to be sure, depending on the intersection. But boy, I mean, that part's been real dangerous. So if you're a new rider, or even if you're a seasoned rider, but especially if you're a new rider, watch out for those intersections. Right now I'm doing about 70. I think the speedometer's off on this. I'm doing 77 or so, and I think I'm probably doing more like 74, because I think it's fast, like 3 or 4 miles per hour. Feels like it's a little bit windy today. The only thing that's really cold are my fingers. I have some winter gloves. It might even be in my top box back there. But I need to get those and put those on. Maybe I'll do that on the ride back. My fingers are about numb from the cold. I just wonder, it probably looks stupid, but I wonder what it would be like with those hand guards like you have on dual sports. You know, if it blocked the wind for your hands and not be so cold, so you don't have to wear the heavy gloves. I do have heated ones too. Man, I tell you what, if you ride in a cold weather and you don't have a pair of heated gloves, you ought to try them. Now, if you got heated grips, that's probably the ultimate. I've never had heated grips. I'd love to have that sometime, someday, but if you don't, heated gloves are relatively inexpensive, and they don't last real long. If it's real cold, you turn it up on high, man, you don't get very long out of it. You might get 40 minutes maybe. But if you can put it on like a medium setting, you get a couple hours out of it. You put it on low setting, you get, you know, maybe 8 hours out of it. But it does help tremendously when you're traveling in the cold. And they're good for wet weather too. I was riding with a couple friends. We went to Tennessee, North Carolina, went through the Tail of the Dragon. I guess that's probably been a couple years ago now. Well, I tell you, time flies. And I had those gloves on, and we went through Tennessee. Oh my goodness, I think we were in the rain. I don't know how many hours. It seemed like it was hundreds of miles that we were riding in the rain, and I was completely dry when I got there. I had no water intrusion whatsoever. And those heated gloves, it was a little chilly when we left, so I had those heated gloves with me and had them on, and they fit over the top of our rain suits. See, we put on rain suits. We stopped because it looked like the clouds were, you know, rain clouds, so we stopped, put on are rain suits, and my gloves sit over the top of the cuffs of the rain suit, and the water just went over the gloves and over the rain suit and off my elbows. I didn't have water coming in anywhere. I was completely dry, and we rode all that time. It was wonderful. And I was on my Gold Wing at that time, and I tell you, going on the highway, the interstate, when it's pouring down, raining, you want to keep up with traffic because cars don't slow down a lot, and you start hitting curves at 80 miles an hour in the pouring down rain. That's kind of unnerving. You know, you worry about grip on your tires, and I had new tires that I put on for that trip. They were Cinco tires, and you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, boy, I don't know if these Cinco tires are good for wet weather or not. Boy, I hope they are. I hope they are. And I didn't have any problems, but boy, it was always on my mind. I like the Michelin tires. I put Michelins on these and on this bike, and these tires are really good. I didn't buy the expensive newer ones, whatever they are, Pilot Power 5, 6, whatever they are. They're getting up there now. I got like the original Pilots, and they're good. They're just a good tire. They have good grip. I think they wear pretty good. I don't know if I haven't had them on that long, but they do wear pretty good. Right now I'm riding without earplugs. Most of the time I like to ride with earplugs because that wind noise can be deafening, and you know, I've got hearing loss, and part of it is probably because of riding a motorcycle without earplugs. I've wore a helmet all my life, and you get a little bit of wind noise inside the helmet, especially if you don't have a shield in the front. And I usually wear earplugs, and I don't now. And I tell you, this bike doesn't have very much noise to it. Of course, the mufflers have a little deep throat to them, but you can't hear it. It kind of goes behind you. The engine is probably a little noisier than some. I mean, like if you were to ride a Kawasaki Concours 1400, man, it's like a sewing machine. It is really smooth and quiet. And this one has more of a jet kind of sound, which I like. You know, I like the sound of it. It's got a couple of balancers on it, and I think those are adjustable. And I think that they kind of whine a little bit, and they probably need to be adjusted on this engine. So I may do that sometime. But it's got a good sound to it, especially whenever you're ripping it. You're riding down the highway and you want to get somewhere quick and you rip it a little bit. It does sound really good. Probably gonna stop in for breakfast, some quick thing somewhere. I might see if they have Herbies. I like their biscuits and gravy. Let's see, what time is it? 7:36 in the morning. So it's getting kind of late. I usually get out to crack it on when I go riding. I don't like to film a lot at that time because it's still dark most times, and not only that, this time of year it's really cold, and sun does help a little bit. It takes a few hours for it to actually warm up from the sun, but it does feel good, even like right now. Been working a lot, having some stress related to work, seemed like, and I tell you, there's just nothing like wind therapy. Get out and just have the wind blowing on you, and riding down the road and just enjoying the day. It's really good to kind of calm things down. Wish we had a few more vacations than what we do. I've always heard in Germany, if you're in Germany and you're watching this, let me know, but I always heard in Germany they have like an average of 10 weeks vacation every year. Man, that would be awesome. Holy cow, 10 weeks. Now, here, if you work, 20, 30 years, they might give you 4 or 5 weeks. I get 4 weeks, that's our maximum. So I get 1 month out of 12 off, which I'd like to have 6 months off of 12 if I could, but no company would allow that. At 64, I'm ready for the next phase in life, which is enjoying myself, get a little freedom. The quote Mel Gibson from Braveheart movie. Ooh, that sun is bright right in my eyes. Hear the roar of that FJR. I can smell skunk. Alright everybody, I'm going to have to cut you off here because I can't see a thing, and I'm going to have to lift this windshield up, or lift this shield up. Oh, it's just gripping. Alright, I appreciate you guys riding along with me, and I'll see you on the next one.